Hello, dear viewers, and welcome back to our channel, where we delve into the fascinating world of the British royal family. Today, we're addressing a topic that is both sensitive and significant, touching upon the health of His Majesty King Charles III and the ongoing question of his future residence within the heart of London. It's a story that combines official updates with persistent speculation, painting a complex picture of the monarch's current situation and potential path forward. Before we embark on this detailed exploration, if you find our deep dives into royal matters engaging, please do remember to tap that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us continue bringing you these in-depth reports. The health of any reigning monarch is, naturally, a matter of immense public interest and national importance. Following the announcement earlier this year regarding King Charles III's diagnosis with an undisclosed form of cancer, Buckingham Palace has consistently sought to provide reassurance. Their official statements have maintained a tone of cautious optimism, indicating that His Majesty is making good progress in his treatment and is, in their words, getting better. These updates often accompany news of his return to public-facing duties, a move clearly intended to signal stability and the King's continued engagement with his role despite the challenges he faces. However, despite these carefully worded pronouncements from the palace, they haven't entirely succeeded in silencing the persistent undercurrent of speculation that surrounds the monarch's health. This is perhaps an inevitable consequence of the nature of the diagnosis itself, undisclosed, requiring ongoing, rigorous treatment, specifically described as weekly sessions. The very fact that treatment is weekly underscores the seriousness and continuous nature of the medical intervention required. While the King has indeed returned to certain public duties, his schedule remains significantly lighter than it might otherwise be, and, crucially, he has been unable to undertake many of the more demanding engagements traditionally associated with the monarch's role. This reduced workload and the ongoing nature of his treatment have necessitated a greater visibility and increased workload for other senior members of the royal family. We have seen Prince William, the heir to the throne, stepping up considerably, undertaking engagements that the King might typically handle. But it's not just Prince William. Other senior royals, including the King's brother Prince Edward and his wife, Duchess Sophie, have also been seen taking on more prominent roles and responsibilities, often filling in for the King at significant national events or important ceremonies. This visible reliance on other family members, while understandable given the circumstances, does perhaps inadvertently fuel the very speculation the palace seeks to quell, as it serves as a tangible indicator that the King's capacity remains, for now, curtailed. Now, amidst this backdrop of health concerns and shifted royal duties, there's another layer to the story, one that involves the very residences that define the monarchy. For much of his life, first as Prince of Wales and now as King, Charles has resided at Clarence House, a beautiful and historic royal townhouse on the Mall in London. This has been his home for many years, a place of stability and personal history, shared initially with Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, and later with Queen Camilla. Buckingham Palace, on the other hand, stands as the official administrative headquarters of the monarch and the traditional London residence. It is a building steeped in history, the focal point for major national celebrations, state visits, and the weekly audiences with the Prime Minister. For decades, it was the primary residence and workplace of his late mother, Queen Elizabeth II. It has long been understood that upon his accession, King Charles III would eventually move into Buckingham Palace, continuing the long-standing tradition of the reigning monarch residing at this iconic address. However, the transition hasn't been straightforward. Buckingham Palace has been, and continues to be, undergoing extensive and absolutely essential renovations. This is a vast, multi-year project known as the Reservicing Program, designed to update crucial infrastructure like plumbing, electrical wiring, and heating systems, much of which hasn't been renewed since the 1950s. The scale of this undertaking is immense, and it means that large parts of the palace are effectively a construction site. These renovations are scheduled to be completed in late 2027. The expectation was that once this massive project was finished, the King and Queen Camilla would finally make the significant move from Clarence House into the newly refurbished Buckingham Palace, officially establishing it as their primary London home and administrative hub. Yet a recent report published in the esteemed Daily Telegraph and penned by their respected royal editor, Camilla Tominey, has introduced a profoundly significant and rather somber possibility that challenges this long-held expectation. Tominey's report, citing sources close to the situation, claims that King Charles's ongoing health struggles may be such that they will ultimately prevent him from finally making this momentous move into Buckingham Palace during his reign, even after the extensive renovations are completed 3 years from now, in late 2027. This assertion from a well-placed royal correspondent adds a new dimension to the public understanding of the king's health. Tominey's report goes further than simply stating his health is a challenge. She specifically links it to the nature of his diagnosis. The journalist suggested, based on her information, that Charles's undisclosed cancer, which was diagnosed and publicly announced in early 2024, is, in fact, incurable. This is a stark and potentially alarming detail, contrasting somewhat with the palace's narrative of progress and getting better, although those terms can still apply to managing an incurable condition. Tominey elaborated on the prognosis being discussed within certain circles, writing that the talk now is that he may die with cancer but not of cancer following a rigorous treatment program. This is a medical distinction, often used in cases of chronic or incurable diseases, where the condition is present and managed, but the immediate cause of death might be something else, or the disease progresses very slowly due to effective treatment. It suggests that while the cancer cannot be eliminated, the current treatment regime is aimed at controlling it and prolonging his life, allowing him to continue with some duties. This phrasing, attributed to internal discussions, paints a picture of a long-term health management situation rather than a temporary setback. King Charles is currently 76 years old, an age where health considerations naturally become more prominent, and the combination of his age with a serious, incurable illness presents undeniable challenges for the demanding role of a monarch. Crucially, Tominey's report ties this health outlook directly to the question of residence. She wrote that, "One concession to his health and advancing years that has been made, however, is that it appears unlikely he will ever move from Clarence House to Buckingham Palace after the restoration is completed in 3 years' time." This is a powerful statement, suggesting that the decision or realization that the move might not happen has already taken root within royal circles, viewed as a practical concession to the king's health and age. The move into Buckingham Palace is more than just changing addresses. It's a symbolic act, solidifying the monarch's presence at the very heart of the nation's political and social life. Not making this move even after the palace is ready would be a significant departure from recent tradition. It would mean King Charles III would be the first monarch in modern history not to reside primarily at Buckingham Palace during their reign. This decision, or the inability to make the move, would underscore the profound impact his health is having, not just on his daily life and duties, but on the fundamental symbolism of his monarchy. The report does clarify one important point regarding Buckingham Palace's role, regardless of where the king resides. Tominey notes that, although it will remain the household's office for the rest of his reign, this means that Buckingham Palace will continue to function as the administrative hub, the place where official business is conducted, where staff are based, and where major ceremonial events will likely still take place. The king would likely travel to Buckingham Palace for meetings, audiences, and functions, but his private home would remain Clarence House. This distinction is important. The palace isn't being abandoned, but its role as the monarch's personal residence might not be fulfilled by King Charles III. This situation presents a fascinating, albeit poignant, look at the realities facing the modern monarchy. On one hand, we have the official line of steady progress and a return to duties. On the other, we have credible reports suggesting a more challenging, long-term health picture that could necessitate significant adjustments to the king's plans, including where he calls home in London. The extensive renovations at Buckingham Palace, originally envisioned to prepare it for the current monarch, may now be completed with the understanding that its primary resident might not be King Charles III after all. It raises questions about the future. If the king does not move in, will the palace effectively wait for the next monarch, Prince William, to take up residence? Or will its role continue to evolve? The symbolism of the monarch residing at Buckingham Palace is deeply ingrained in the public consciousness, representing continuity, stability, and the central presence of the crown. A departure from this tradition, even if necessitated by health, would be a significant moment in the history of the British monarchy. The coming years leading up to the completion of the renovations in late 2027 will undoubtedly be watched closely. We will see how the king's health progresses, how his duties are managed, and whether there are any further official or unofficial indications regarding his future residency plans. The report from Camilla Tominey certainly provides a compelling, albeit perhaps unsettling, glimpse into the potential realities being discussed behind the scenes. In conclusion, while Buckingham Palace continues to offer reassuring updates on King Charles's health and his progress with weekly treatments, the persistent speculation fueled by the visible support from other senior royals and detailed reports from respected journalists like Camilla Tominey paints a more complex picture. The suggestion that his undisclosed cancer, diagnosed in early 2024, is incurable, coupled with the claim that he may not move into Buckingham Palace after its renovations are finished in late 2027, raises profound questions about the impact of his health on his reign and the traditional role of the monarch's residence. Buckingham Palace will remain the working office, but its future as the monarch's home appears, according to this report, to be increasingly uncertain for King Charles III. This event certainly gives us much to reflect upon regarding the challenges faced by the monarchy in the modern era, balancing tradition with personal circumstances. What are your thoughts on this report and the potential implications for King Charles and the royal family? Do you think not moving into Buckingham Palace would significantly alter the public perception of his reign? Please share your opinions in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video if you found it informative, subscribe to our channel for more in-depth royal news and analysis, and join us for our next royal update. Thank you for watching.